Welcome back to the Bodhicharyavatara, chapter number 8, and the chapter on meditation. And stanza number, last time we did up to stanza number 83. And I rushed a little bit at the end because of the time. With but a millionth part of such vexation, enlightenment itself could be attained. Those who crave are plagued far more than those engaged upon the path. Yet Buddhahood is not what they attain. What he's saying is that the effort we make and the hardship we go through, and then the difficulties and hardships and pain and stress and anxieties and worries that we endure in order to run after the things that we are so much attached to. Because that's what we always do. That's what we are doing day and night, all through our lives. If we make 1,000,000th time, less, 1,000,000th time only, 1,000,000th time effort of that kind towards attaining enlightenment, we would have already done it. We would have already attained enlightenment. The amount of the time that we spend so far on this unattainable and never actually giving satisfaction and always striving hard and you can say almost fruitless. And after doing this for so many lifetimes, for countless lifetimes, and with unceasing efforts, what we have actually gained? Nothing. We are as unenlightened, as ignorant, as kind of burdened with all the problems and sufferings and pain as before. Not one little bit % better. So therefore, it is useless, it is fruitless, it is only running after suffering, pain, problem without, never actually achieving anything that's truly worthwhile and truly sustainable. So therefore, then we go to the next. Reflecting upon the pains of hell and other evil states, weapons, fires and poisons, yawning chasms, hostile fuse, none is on level with our cravings. Too much attachment, too much craving, we can say it's like weapon, It's like weapon, it's like fire, it's like poison, it's like, yawning chasm, like fall. It's a very kind of deep fall, and very hostile enemies, because, the more craving we have, the more attachment we have, the more we are hurt and pierced and wounded. It doesn't make us peaceful, it doesn't make us happy, it doesn't make us fulfilled. So it's like a weapon. The more the more attachment and the more craving, the more desire, the more greed we have, the more we burn. Actually, it is not helping us to calm down. It's not helping us to bring cool or painless. It burns more and more. And the more we have that, the more it brings suffering and pain and problem. It's like poison. And then if we are under the, if we run after our things that we are so much attached to, or we have so much greed, then we are bound to fall down from a big, chasm or fall. It's like a, and then there's no other way. We are running towards that high and deep and dangerous fall. So, there's no way. And it's like our most hostile foe, because, it's same with anger and hatred. And here also, the more we, there's nothing like, if we have an enemy, and then we completely submit to the enemy and completely, surrender and say, I do whatever you say now. Please be my protector. Sometimes they can become your protector. Sometimes they can first maybe enslave you and give you lots of hard time. But then sooner they can also become your friends, or at least your mentor. But these negative emotions, whether it's hatred or whether it's too much greed and attachment, they can never become really your friend. They always by nature bring you more and more dissatisfaction, more and more unhappiness, more and more suffering. So therefore, it's to understand this is very, very, very important. And then, when we feel, we all have as a sensation, as a samsaric beings, we cannot be without attachment completely. We cannot be, without desire or craving. But when we see the effect of this, what really it's doing, then we need to think, we cannot become totally a slave of our attachment and our craving and our desire and our greed, because that's completely not good for us. And it doesn't give any real, true benefit for us. When we see this, then I think we can have a little bit of, clarity, a little bit of clarity. And when that happens, then we start to have a slight different way of looking at things, slight way of different attitude. And then this is, I think I read the Tibetan first. Nyalsu dungal samsi na ndepa namlan tsuen na duto me tong yongsa tong danam chi chun per me fe. So then that makes us, a little bit more, wanting, or a little bit more turn our mind towards solitude, towards freedom from attachment, and then that brings a little bit of liking, or our mind turns towards solitude and peace and freedom from this craving and hatred and anger and jealousy and things like that little bit. So therefore, therefore it says, so these two, in the first two lines, so revolted by our lust and wantings, let us now rejoice in solitude. Turn our minds towards our solitude, because we know that the running after, our craving and attachment and greed is just, like running towards a cliff that we need to jump on it, and all other things that we have. So therefore, when we know that this is no use, this is only bringing suffering, pain, problem, and difficulties for me, then I don't need to immediately give up everything and, but, my state of mind. We must, I have said this many times before, but I must emphasize again. What we are trying to do is learn to become compassionate and loving and not attached and craving. Yeah? We need to lessen our craving, attachment, desire, greed, and become more loving, more kind, more compassionate, more free, more open, and more, more joyful, unbound. That's what we are trying to do. That's what we are trying to. So then, in places empty of all conflicts and defilement, the peace and stillness of the forest, happy those intent on others' good, who roam in pleasant places, formed of massive stone, refreshed by moonlight's sandal-scented beams, by gentle woodland breezes soothed. In caves beneath the trees, in houses left abandoned, may we linger long as we might wish, relinquishing the pain of guarding our possessions. Let us live in freedom, unconfined by cares. To have such liberty unmarred by craving, loosed from every bond and tie, a life of such contentment and such pleasure, even Indra would be pressed to find. So this is up to stanza 88. Now let me go through the Tibetan section. Zutong nyumu chi tongba, shiwi no chi no tat, kaltin dawi, zendin chi selvi, yombi dole, konzon yangarwa, reme shiwi no mu yopayi, yenla pendun senshin chaparse. So, so a place where there is no, it's devoid of, there is no conflicts, no difficulties dealing with people who are creating complaints and conflicts and things like that doesn't disturb our mind, and also free from. Therefore, we become less, less negative emotions, less kleshas. Because the kleshas, negative emotions, arise because of three things. That we have not completely, got rid of our negative emotions. The basic negative emotions are still there. We are still self-centered, and all kind of negative emotions are not fully purified. And then there is provocation. There is object. And then third is that we react in a negative way. These three things, then we have all negative emotions arise. So we have not yet, gotten rid of the first. We are samsaric beings, so we have that. So that's not something that we can easily get rid of. But second thing, second thing is when we are in solitude, when there is no provocation, when there is no object of our, defilements or negative emotions, then it doesn't easily arise, So if there is no disturbance, there's nobody, disturbing us, there's nobody, or nothing that makes us kind of run after, or we are too much attached to, or we are too much attracted by, or we are too much, then it doesn't arise. And then on top of that, if we don't have the wrong reaction that I want this, and if I have this, then I'll be so happy. If I know that it's not like that, then there is more peace. There is naturally more peace. So less devoid of these negative emotions, and that is in this peaceful, like forest, and then you are kind of enjoying in the forest, very, very peaceful. Then with, in the night, moon shining, smells of flowers and sandalwoods, and cool breeze, talking about India, I think. And then you are sitting on a very nice flat stone rock, or it's like, it's better than a great palace, because this palace, you don't have to clean all the time, you don't have to spend so much money to maintain it, you don't have to be afraid that somebody will come and take it away from you or anything like that, and then there is no enemies, no disturbing sounds, see, in that way, and then you can peacefully and joyfully and with universal compassion, love, because you are not bound, attached to something or someone or a few people. So therefore you can become, your mind can be, very unattachedly kind and compassionate to everybody. Konton hindong putata konti jisen deni yonzang songyin du ngang pong depa mepa panyon shu rongwa shu chi chame la kondi yondan reme la chu shi de shu konyan pa onbi chune tenye kaas. So whether it's in the forest, whether it's in a kind of abandoned house where there's nobody, or under the trees, lots of great beings in India stayed under trees, like Buddha also stayed under a tree for many years, just under the tree. Or in caves, lots of people in Tibet and many other places, they stayed in caves. So there, because these are not owned by anybody, nobody wants to drive you out, so you can stay there as long as you want. And there is nothing like you have to register it, you have to buy it, you have to pay for it. So there is no suffering of holding on to it, no suffering of protecting it, all these things not there. So therefore you don't, carelessly, very carefree. You can go anywhere, you can leave anytime, you can come back anytime. So therefore you are completely free, and there is no attachment. So therefore you are not, bound with anything, and therefore you have complete contentment, because there is nothing more you desire. That kind of, this is the kind of practice that most of the great yogis and meditators and great masters of the past done. Milarepa stayed in caves and under the rocks, almost all his life. And most of the great masters practiced in the solitude, not only of Buddhists, even other spiritual masters, most of them, attend their kind of spiritual attainment in solitude. So therefore, when you really learn how to do that and you are in that, then he says there is so much joy, so much happiness, so much freedom, so much, kind of independence, that kind of joy and independence and freedom, freedom of having no attachment, freedom of not having to, run after something, freedom of not having to hold on to something that even, the king of the gods, Indra, even he cannot have that, So that's, I think we stop here. Thank you. It's 24 minutes and I don't know whether it will go, but I'll try.